For this reason, you could argue the Indiana Fever season has already been a success. You see this post from Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark's comment underneath of it, dog. Dog is a word that's been thrown around a lot as of late. Of course, it's a very complimentary basketball term. But after a rough start to the season between those two, and concerns, certainly concerns that I had about their on-court chemistry and how that partnership would work, that has been flushed down the toilet, right? Like before the season started, to me on paper, Boston and Clark were perfect for one another. And it did not work out that way to begin the year. Combination of factors, I'm sure. The learning curve for Caitlin as a rookie. Boston just wasn't moving with the speed and purpose that she needed to. But all that has changed over this recent stretch. Not only are they clicking on the court, but they seem to be clicking off of it, right? Like when Aliyah Boston made those comments about Clark's passes and said, you know, we got her, we know she's going to do the right thing, you could see that friendship sort of brewing. So it seems to me that the relationship on the court is clicking, and now the relationship off the court is clicking as well. And you see that support from Caitlin on the Instagram post. But beyond that, of course, there is what is happening on the actual floor, right? And the comparison I and others have made has been to Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash, right? Like this right here, that combination right there. Those two guys had that magic as a pick and roll combination. And what I love about Clark is her vision is just extraordinary. So she is like Nash, where she's probing and keeping her dribble alive and playing her teammates open. And the thing about Boston, is that she has smarts as well. Like Aliyah is a very smart player. So the two of them working in conjunction, they can figure it out, right? As they're on the court, which is why you've seen so many assists between the two of them. Right here, as you can tell, Clark has assisted to Aliyah Boston 37 times this season. 37 times. So that combination is really working. And you could see it out on the court, right? You could see it out on the court when they're playing together. It's getting better all the time. So here's a few of the examples right here. Look at, all right, Boston to Clark. Then she steps back, right? She's got that space, pulls up, bang. Then Clark comes around. Aliyah's rolling. Mitchell uses that to get the three off. Here comes Clark. Aliyah rolls right down the middle. Great pass, great finish. Clark again. Right to Boston. Boston back to Clark. Back to Boston. Woo! Like, how great was that? How great was that? That two-woman game that the two of them had going on that play. That was just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So now that Aliyah is rolling, you see how these two could thrive together for, like, you know, it's not about this season. This could be a pairing for a long, long time. A pairing for a long, long time. I mean, remember what I was just referencing before about what Boston said regarding Clark. Here was that post-game press conference. I forget which game it was after, but nonetheless, this was what was said by Aliyah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple here and there. I think one was a set design where I kind of just assumed Aliyah was going to be open, and I didn't even really look before I threw it. So I think just slowing down a little bit. Honestly, I'm trying to remember the other ones. Another one was to Aliyah that was slowing out of bounds.
It's all right. Don't worry. Because here's the thing. Don't worry. Because, I mean, you look at Caitlin and you look at the way she passes the ball. And so sometimes things are going to happen that way. And that's okay, because we're not going to let her hang her head. We're not going to hang our head off of any missed passes, because we're still continuing to gel together. And we know that she's a great passer. So if she thinks she can get that ball there, she's going to throw it. And if I miss it, then we're good. all right. Don't worry. You're good. Don't worry.
Thanks, AB.
And look at the smiles there, right? That is two mature, intelligent young women who are playing together, right? Like Clark, usually to be a great passer, you have to be a smart player, a smart person. Like generally, there's a correlation there between the intelligence and floor awareness and passing ability. And you obviously see it with Caitlin, but Boston is a really good passer too. And Boston has been a TV analyst and all those things. And that is the type of thing that just gives you the faith in what they could accomplish together out on the floor, what they've already accomplished together out on the floor, but even more so going forward, and that this is not going to stop. And credit to Aliyah Boston for figuring it out, because I was a little harsh on her to begin the year, but she has certainly answered that bell, and you could see it. I mean, they are having a burgeoning on-court relationship that is going to thrive for the next decade plus, perhaps, right? And it seems to me, I don't know them personally, just reading what you're watching, the interactions there, it seems to me that they are having a burgeoning friendship as well. At worst, a really, really strong working relationship. And that just bodes well for the Indiana Fever. We could talk about Christy Wallace and whether she should start. You could talk about Christy Sides and whether she should be the coach for this team long term. You could talk about the Olympic selections and the All-Star voting, where Aliyah Boston is third, by the way, or whatever else you want to talk about. Kelsey Mitchell and how she fits in with them, what the rotation should look like, the Celeste Taylor being waived, and for Dantas, like all these things. There's a lot of conversations around the Indiana Fever, obviously. And I'm not saying they're not worthwhile, but perhaps the biggest single storyline from a positive standpoint is that the last two number one picks in the WNBA draft are clicking and are working together and seemingly will only get better. The thing about what we saw in some of those highlights is that doesn't have to be coached. That's not a play, right? That's the two of them playing together and coaching themselves on the floor, in the sense that a lot of basketball is give people space to operate and let the players do their thing. And I think you have to trust both Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, especially in combination, to be able to do that within the flow of the game and, do good things for the Indiana Fever.